Today's market call is presented by CME Group, where risk meets opportunity. And FactSet, financial data and analytics powered by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Welcome to the market call. I'm laughing because Bill Hockman is a very funny man.
Ish.
I'm here IRL, as the kids say. It is Tuesday, January 6th.
Yeah.
First trading Tuesday of the new year.
Yeah.
Guy Adami, Dan Nathan. Just the two of us today. Liz Thomas will not be joining us. Maybe tomorrow. Carter Worth was with us.
He was with us. You know, Guy's a little. Maybe
you notice I'm having trouble speaking because it's cold out. I've been walking here.
Did you walk here?
Well, part of the way.
Without a coat?
I have a coat.
Guy's one of the few people in New York City who just, you know, the whole idea of winter just like goes like this. You know what I mean?
It has to be cold.
So Guy might be a little tongue-tied here, people. He did a job last night. Yes, it was Georgetown Athletes Invest.
Yes.
It was their second annual event. A bunch of athletes have put together this investment club, but it's more than that. They seek out alumni mentors and a whole host of different sort of business-related stuff. Guy Adami hosted a panel, killer panel. So it was our friend Joe Amato from Newberger Berman,
who's been there forever,
who's a bit of a stud.
Joe is
a bit of a stud.
Class of '84.
Our friend Ted Oberwager, who's at KKR, Investment Sports.
2006,
played baseball. What did Amato play?
Baseball.
So that was an all baseball panel.
I believe Joe's baseball, and then Tom Farley, the former president of New York Stock Exchange.
Okay, so he's a friend of ours.
Called him a matinee idol. Did you catch that?
Yeah, and did you see what he did? He did a little Vogue. One of the things so a great event. Guy moderated. He's one of the best moderators out there, and I mean that sincerely. I'm not just saying that because he's sitting right here. He's so good at what he does, but the kids are so impressive, and you know, there's recent grads there too. So Guy was the star.
Not really, but let me just say this. So Jim Cramer does his show, and we're going to get into the markets, does his show from the New York Stock Exchange.
Yep.
And Jim has ties to Georgetown University. His stepson, I think, went, and his executive producer, Regina Gilgan, went as well. But after the show, Jim came off set, spoke to all the 21 kids there, took pictures individually with them as a group. So Jim is the best.
He is such a unique talent, and his talent is something that I think stretches across mediums. If you think across mediums, but also not just finance. So that's pretty cool. And Guy, you are a mensch, as our people say, taking the kids down there.
I'll say this. Yeah. So I'm at my 40-year college reunion in May. 40 years, which is unbelievable.
It's remarkable.
But I was in their shoes once as well.
Yeah.
And I had some people, but I wish there had been a network like there is now. And I think what most of these young men and women understand is 3, 5, 10 years from now, it's incumbent upon them to, if somebody reaches out, to reciprocate and to try to help. And you do it all the time as well.
Yeah.
So there's a beauty in that. It's really important.
There is, and you don't exactly have to be wired that way to be a mentor. I think you say this all the time. I think mentors probably get as much out of it as mentees.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, I was quoting you, by the way. So one of the things I'll just say,
catch that, Bill?
We had a podcast. I want to say, people, we are going into our 5th year. We are in our 5th year of Risk Social Media. And one of the early podcasts we did, I can't remember, we just turned it around. Like I interviewed you, or Danny Moses and I interviewed you. And Guy's story is much like a lot of people in our generation's story, because you didn't have this connectivity with LinkedIn and all this sort of stuff. You kind of had to hustle, right? And actually the hustle was part of the thing that you would get hired for, you know. And your story of hunting down a job at Goldman, Jay Aaron back then before they bought it is pretty fascinating too. So maybe we'll do another podcast like that. Maybe we'll do it for the kids. You know, by the way, I met a bunch of these kids there. They're like, they listen to our podcast, which is amazing. I know they were coming up and talk to us. All right, to the markets, Guy. Today, what did you say? The futures. What is the symbol today? Because CME
January
is
letter F.
Okay, so
now, I don't know if that's because January is the first month of the year. I really have no idea. But January is F.
So one thing I wanted to say is, we're being all nostalgic here. CME Group, which has been a sponsor of ours since day one, Guy, going back to January 2021. There couldn't be a better partner in the world. We have a lot of great partners, but like they are up there on the Mount Rushmore of them.
Well, they was like an anchor for us.
Yeah.
You know, that gives you credibility.
Yeah.
It's a gravitas around that. And they've been, to your point, they've been with us day one. We've built some ridiculously strong relationships.
Well, by the way, talking about how like hustle and get into the business, Terry Duffy, CEO, chairman of CME Group, his story is one of the best. And he's told a little bit about that in the pods. All right, Guy. New year, we had CES going on. I remember a time where the consumer electronics, every year annual thing in Vegas, every company around the world who's in tech, they go there. Analysts go there, investors go there, tech people go there, buyers and sellers. It's just like a hodgepodge of everybody. So last night, Jensen Huang, he gave the keynote. And, we were talking about it on Fast Money because I think it just got done when we were doing the show. And, every year over the last few years, this year it was, I guess hardware was going to have its OpenAI, chat GPT moment. And last year was something else was going to have this sort of thing. And I guess the most important thing is, well, here's the stock. It's just flat. And we were talking about it in Fast Money.
Flat. So trading 188. It's slightly lower on the day, but it traded up to 192. So that's obviously longer term. But today's price action is worth watching because I do believe a lot of people got themselves geeked up into that event, waiting to hear what he had to say. I'm sure a lot of people came away with it very excited, but it's not about what people are. It's about what the stock market is. And right now the stock market is saying, okay, you know what? It's not exactly what we were looking for. And that's easy for me to say with a stock that has a $4.6 trillion market cap and is within $25 of an all-time high. But this is a stock that's been trading sideways-ish since October, and now we're into January. So it's absolutely worth watching. And if this reversal today continues, it's going to be one of those days that we flag 100%.
Well, yeah, I mean, the high in August, after it had this epic run, I think, what did it get as low as $80-something in April? And to August, it was up, over 100%. Well, here we are. We're just trading back. Carter's made that point. If you take out that sort of November rally, I mean, we really have been sideways. For a long time. And I guess my point last night on Fast Money was that, okay, so they can come out with 5 new product announcements and partnering with this and that, whatever. It's just all getting lost at this point. I mean, part of the story is all of this. And, going back to Kramer, I mean, there was a couple things I think that he said yesterday in one of his morning notes about like, this is the year that people stop talking about the circular nature of the investment. I'm not so certain. And you can say, well, who are you to disagree with Jim? And he's got a direct line to Jensen and all that sort of stuff. My only point is that at some point, if things go wrong, that will only be amplified. Do you know what I'm saying?
I agree with that. And it's as impressive as a company they is, as long, as deep and as wide of a moat that they have, competition in our world catches up very quickly. And things, when you seemingly have that insurmountable lead, I think what we've learned over the last few years there is no lead that's insurmountable. And that's true in a lot of different things, but specifically our world. And I just think the world moves a lot faster. And I do think competition is out there, and the margins that they enjoy are not going to be margins they enjoy forever. And when the competition comes, I think you're going to see, you compete on price. And I think that's going to happen because at a certain point, this technology becomes commoditized, like all commodities do historically.
Yeah. And so, talking about margins, and we brought this up last night, when you see the memory price increases that you're seeing, or the storage price increase, let's just pull up SanDisk for a second. I mean, this is, again, absurd. I mean, this stock was trading at $50 in early September. You could have had all of it that you wanted. It got spun out of Western Digital.
Whiskey.
All you want.
I love that.
So, by the way, just keep this chart up because this will be a reminder that we have to come back to SanDisk. So I watched not Trading Places, but 48 Hours. 48 Hours came before Trading Places. Is that correct?
I think right.
So Eddie Murphy, and he had just come off of SNL, blowing up. One of the most unique talents we can agree
to this day.
So not just skit comedy, stand-up comedy, and then acting,
which is entirely different, as Bill Hockman is learning. It's one thing to be a stand-up comic in front of all your friends at the Bowery Ballroom, wherever you're playing. It's another thing to do it on the big screen And then to be able to
improv, skit, that sort of thing.
man's a genius.
So I watched when we were somewhere. Where were we? It just happened to be on. It was one of the conferences that we were.
You said you
Oh,
watched.
it might have been CME. So it was late at night. I woke up, I couldn't sleep, and I watched 48 Hours. I had not seen that in decades. So then, of course, it piques my interest because it was so good. Then I watched another 48 Hours.
Not as good.
Okay, but pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I just want to say that pretty good. Okay.
Listen. Again, I don't know.
And how did we get here? You know how we got here?
Places and the
whiskey,
whiskey,
all you want. Yeah.
The man, he can read the phone book, and I will laugh at him. He's a genius. Now, he's made some shitty movies.
Yeah, there's some stuff that haven't been great.
Coming to America.
Okay, so
Golden Child.
So
let
me. All right. So if you want to clip this, have a ball, guys. Okay. So SanDisk, SNDK, spun out of Western Digital early last year ish. You could have had all of it that you wanted at $50 going into September. So you see what's going on here now.
September.
I know.
September. This was to your point, think about that. That's 3 months ago.
Yeah.
The stock is now a $50 billion company. You have a line job. We call this a line job. You see that last little thing to the upside? I mean, that reeks of just exhaustion, in my opinion, and just buyer capitulation. Now, the stock that trades 11 million shares daily. I don't know, Dan, you probably have it in front of you what it's traded already. I'm here to tell you we'll probably do 5 times normal volume today. This is another one of those days worth watching because now you're in the realm of absurdity.
13 by now.
Already.
So you'll probably have easily 20, 25 billion or a million or something like that. So one of the things I think is interesting about this name is like, okay, so, where does all their products go into? They go into, the OEMs who make the servers, right? They go into the data center spend, obviously. And so when you think about, storage and memory, these are big parts of why GPUs work the way they do, or why, let's say, NVIDIA's outperform relative to AMD's or some of the other competition. So at some point, I think the margins in all of this space are going to get compressed a little bit because, do they have pricing power? Well, they do right now while you have shorter supplies and a lot of demand. But I just see this sort of behavior, guy, and I'm not going to get all, crazy about it. But if you're piling into this name right here, I'm just,
no, it doesn't make sense. Throw up a Micron chart because it's going to look similar. This is a stock that in the same time frame in September was probably $115 stock. It's tripled-ish since then. Now it's a $375 billion company. Again, a company that historically, at least historically in our careers, has been very cyclical. As it historically, I mean, this is a very
pull up
cyclical,
a 5-year. I mean, this is,
and you'll
thing.
see. I mean, the stock that goes up and down and up and down, and that's what a cyclical stock is supposed to do until recently. Now you're saying what the market is telling you now, it's some sort of paradigm shift, and they've gone away from cyclicality, away from being commoditized into being this sort of like, I don't know, secular growth story that's going to remain for the foreseeable future. And I just don't see it. Again, with competition, people are going to look at this and say, we can do this better. And when people can do it better, it means margins compress. So stay tuned for this story.
So here's what's worth noting. I'm looking at my FactSet machine. So in calendar 2024, the company did $30 billion in sales. Calendar 2025, the number looks like 45 billion. Okay, so they're having a bit of a NVIDIA moment. 2026, they're expected to do 83 billion, right? And so that's on a revenue basis. But this is a company whose margins have been improving a lot. Okay, so if you look at calendar 2024, gross margins at 29.5%. This 2025 calendar is going to be 48.5%. Next year, 6. I mean, so you could make the argument that this makes sense for the first time in decades.
I agree, but you know this. Micron's one of those things. The cheaper it looks, the more dangerous it gets. So let's just look. They're all in the same realm right now. They're all having the same type of moment. We'll see how long it lasts. But this looks like a commodity chart when we talk about the moves in silver or copper or some of the base metals that we don't talk about. When you have these parabolic moves to the ups, natural gas, the moves extend and then they don't last and then they retrace as quickly as they went higher. And I think we're going to see that here. Now, you say, okay, Guy, where do you think it could go? Well, in Micron, I think the first stop is about 250, which was the prior all-time high in November 14th, a month and a half or so ago. And then you say, okay, where can it go from there? Well, If you want to get really draconian, does it do all back and fill the entire move? And that gets you back down to 150, which is where we were the summer of last year.
Yeah.
Or 2024. Last year is 25. Amazing.
And I want to make a point. This is not being defensive, but if you entered the markets, let's say 18, 19, we were in the midst of a nice bull market, right? And then 2020 happens, and we have that very short bear market. I think it lasted like I don't know, a month and a half or something. And that's the period where things kind of went haywire. And when I say haywire, there was a new market entrant, and we know who they were, and all the power to them. They figured out how certain aspects of markets work, psychology, right? And they were diamond hands, and whether it was crypto, whether it was SPACs, whether it was, tech stocks, whatever it was, and they did really well in 2021, turned into a frenzy. And so if you're one of these people and you've never lived through a proper bear market, you look at this and say, this is how you make money. Right? This is how you do it. You find these stories that are rocket ships. I guess the problem with you and me is that we are programmed, back to where we started. When I say programmed, we're not locked there, but we have memory of long bear markets. We have memory of stocks that go up like this and gain $150 billion in market cap in 3 months or whatever, and that can't end well, right? So I guess the point that I'm trying to make is like, I am so happy that people are making money doing this sort of thing, but it can go the other way too.
Your concern is, yes.
But I could have been this concerned. I was a month ago.
All of us were, but we'll say this, and I believe this to be true. There's a chance that a name like Micron or SanDisk, more people wind up losing money than making money. Because if you see that reversal that we both expect, people don't get out of these things because they've been conditioned. Like, why should I get out?
Yep.
Every bounce is going to be bought. And we know historically that that's not necessarily the case. So listen, if you're looking for somebody that's going to wave the palm, I've never been that person. Yeah. I'm always going to sort of err to the side of caution. So take that for what it's worth. But I've also seen the other side of these things, and I've seen how hurt people can get. Real quick.
Wait, hold on. But just quick. This just came out in the FT guy like 6 minutes ago. If our team can pull up
Financial Times.
Yeah, you'll love this. This literally came out while we were talking about this over the last 5 minutes.
Please.
You ready? Fund managers prepare for a reckoning in the U.S. tech sector. Some investors reduce positions or buy protection for their portfolios amid concerns over valuations. We'll put it in the show notes, and if you subscribe, you can read this here. So a number of investors told the FT that they were protecting their portfolios either by reducing their. Okay. So one last point I want to make, guy. One of the headlines that I saw was a top headline on Bloomberg.com. It said Jane's multi-strategy. So you remember Bobby Jane? I think he was a big guy at maybe Credit Suisse back in the day. So he runs a hedge fund that gained. And so if he's running a hedge fund, okay, he's charging probably between 1% and 2% management fee, okay, on the assets that he has raised. And he's probably charging a 20% performance fee. So he takes 20, or his fund takes 20% of what they make. So last year, his hedge fund gained 3.7%. 3.7%. That's not 3.7. That's not 6.7. It's 3.7.
Less than 4%.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Well, so one of the things I would say is that, part of this is that a lot of folks like him, he's probably our age-ish or something like that. They have the way they manage risk, the way that it's probably, I think it's a pod shop. So he's got a bunch of different portfolio managers managing in different sectors and different asset classes and the like. And the way they manage risk, you know what I mean? It's like, yes, they might be long one of these, but they also might be short one of those. You know what I'm saying? And so difficult place to be.
All right. This is from our friend Mike, who's with us every day, Mike Cole, the man to put this up. Enough about NVIDIA. What do you think my Hoosiers will do on the college football playoff on Friday versus Oregon?
What's the line? Let's start with what the line is.
Indiana's got to be a 5.5. I don't know this. Maybe Bill can effort it on one of his devices, because I know Bill probably has like DraftKings or something. If I'm guessing, it's Indiana's a 5.5 point favorite. That's I don't know this. Coach Cignetti at Indiana is a monster. You listen to one of his press conferences. 3.5. Thank you, Bill. I was not.
Are you buying that down to 3, Bill?
No, we're not buying anything down. Cignetti, I would play for Cignetti. Like, the guy is locked in. His father was a coach. He's a coach. He's no bullshit. Dan Lanning at Oregon is equally batshit crazy. I mean, these are two of the nuttiest people in college football going against each other. I think Indiana wins. I think Oregon's a good football team. I will tell you, there's not enough money in the world for me to watch Miami lose, and I hope they lose in a major way to Mississippi. I'm rooting for Mississippi. A Mississippi-Indiana final game.
Ole Miss.
Old Miss.
Well, let's just Ole
Miss.
Mississippi.
Yeah, Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. I thought you were saying old.
No,
And you were just calling
Miss.
them Mississippi.
Mississippi.
You know who calls them old Mississippi? Lane Kiffin.
Lane Kiffin.
He's like,
who is
you see what I did there? You can use
grata.
that, Bill, if you want, at Billy Hockman on
So
the
you
on the
got to be
Instagram.
rooting for Ole Miss.
Yes.
I think almost by definition. Miami's one of the most unlikable universities. And if you're a Miami grad, I apologize. It happens to be true. But I'm rooting for Mississippi. Jackson Dart, the Giants quarterback, who is a stud, will be at the game.
All right, that's cool.
Anyway, sorry, that's out. But I'd like Indiana in the game. Indiana boot stomped Alabama. I mean, it's embarrassing. They're just rolling through people.
All right, I promise you we're going to get to some levels in the futures and the major indices and some of the commodities that we look at and that sort of thing.
But I'll say, let's play the game. Throw up a gold chart futures because, gold's getting back on the horse again. We talked about it yesterday. Let's talk about it again today. We're within, basically an earshot of the all-time high. I mean, people will look at this and say the fact that we're as far away from the 200-day moving average as we are is concerning. I agree. But I think what's going to happen is this relationship is going to continue. And unless you tell me that there's going to be a rush to sell Venezuelan gold reserves or something out of the
Do they
blue,
have big gold reserves?
Yes, I believe that they do. I don't see this stopping anytime soon. And all the things that we're hearing, like all these things that are happening, are not gold negative.
Yeah. So, Amanda, if you could just draw an uptrend, and there's plenty of points to from the August-ish low, that late August, and you see that we have, a November check back to that. You see the December check back. We just had one of those check backs. I mean, I think if you're looking at this guy, and I get your point about the 200-day moving average, and it's right back to that kind of long, so at the top end of that long kind of consolidation that we saw, mid last year or so, and it's going higher. I mean, it's going to be at 4,000. You know what I mean? By like
maybe 5,000. I think it was. But
no, what I'm saying is the 200-day
moving
might be
yes,
at
just
at
each
4,000.
day it's going to go.
So, like, if I'm like trying to look at this and playing that sort of momentum and playing this kind of higher low situation, and we also have a situation that if we break out from that prior high, I mean, we're gonna have a series of higher highs too, right? And then if you start drawing a trend channel, you're gonna see that you can get to 5,000.
I think so.
And so I guess my point is like, if you're trading futures, I think where your stop is to the downside. It's probably right in and around that kind of uptrend. Now, as Carter says all the time, these levels of support, they're not to the penny. They don't have to be to the penny. When they are to the penny, you can say to the penny, to the penny.
I look at it and say, okay, you want to play. So if whatever the high was in terms of futures in October, October 16th-ish, if you want to draw a horizontal line,
45, 49, 45,
there's your level,
50.
because it's going to line up with where that trend line is. You see what I'm looking at there? If you want to play that game,
that high, that level, guy, I'm sorry, I screwed that up. That is 43.81. Okay. 43.81. And I was looking at the next high is 45.60.
So that's that. I'll say, another reason why I'm not, again, I don't want to say I'm convinced of anything, but I'm confident, is because the gold mining stocks don't back off at all. If the marketplace and the equities was concerned about gold, GDX would not be at an all-time high, which at 91 is basically where it is right now. And some of these mining stocks would not be performing the way they're performing. The mining stocks, in my opinion, are telling you that the underlying commodity is not done yet.
What are the biggest gold miners?
Newmont Mining, obviously, we talk about Barrick Gold. Agnico Eagle Mines. You may recall that Agnico Eagle Mines was the A in my clam.
Yeah.
You might want to throw
but
that.
You've been a huge proponent in the Newmont Mining also.
Look at Agnico Eagle. This thing, I mean, this is just...
You don't get a lot of credit from... I guess, one of the things that's interesting, there was a time on Fast Money. That's a good-looking chart right there.
Yeah.
AEM comes out AEM
sideways since basically the fall.
Upward sloping 200.
I don't know.
All right.
Tell me.
So there was a time on Fast Money we used to get a lot of instant feedback on the Twitter. I'm not on it. You don't even really check it during Fast Money anymore, do you? Or no?
Twitter,
Ish?
you know, the algo
Yeah.
doesn't seem to have the same gravitas. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes I put
engagement's
things out
bad.
and it's bizarre. I don't know
Yeah.
how it works.
Well,
anymore.
my point is like we used to get like a lot of instant feedback, right?
Yeah,
on
not
things we were
anymore.
saying, and so a lot of it, most of it was negative actually. But you know, I mean, like I got to tell you, if it was documented, and I know you've been saying it here, I mean, some of your views on the miners, I'm like, I don't know shit
I'd
about
rather
it. But
focus on
you've been
what,
you
what I
want to
get
focus
wrong.
on you.
No, but
Oh.
I think it's
Well,
for
I
me,
think it's important from a credibility standpoint. Like you said, we're wrong. I'm wrong all the time. Okay. Anybody in the markets, they should understand that. You know what I mean? Like, because most market participants, hey, what about Bobby Jane? You think his traders were right all the time last
Apparently
year?
not.
Apparently not, because you could have thrown a dart at the freaking stock market and you could have had a name. Well, by the way, Carter actually had some data over the weekend saying that, you know, there was only 3 sectors in the S&P 500 that outperformed the S&P, the index
communication
last year.
services, financials. I'm guessing. I don't know.
And then he
this.
gave a bunch of data about the average stock in the indices. You know what I mean? So, like, again, you know, people say, well, why do you guys focus on that? You know, so I just wanted to bring up that point is like, you know, and we're going to keep talking about Jim Cramer. What is his tagline? There's a bull market everywhere. Somewhere.
Apparently there is.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah.
This is from Aller1SJ. Throw this one up, Amanda.
Uh-oh.
What is Guide's word this year? I have many words. I think.
Oh, acronym. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Over here.
There are a number of things going through my mind. I wanted to do wood, perhaps, or pole, but you know, or meat, MEAT, but we're probably not going to get through.
Meat won't pass.
No, I got to
it won't pass compliance.
Clam was genius.
In Guy's channel. No, well, you had clam and tube.
Tube was just, you had a field day with that. So I got to come up with something that'll be clever that we can have fun with for the year. I don't know yet, but apparently we need to get them in by Thursday of this week.
So, by the way, I could use some help. I have a great acronym. I've already done it, but I think I can put, I'm not going to tell you what it is, an E at the end. If any of you guys have any ideas about an equity or an ETF that starts with the letter E that looks attractive. Now, one theme that I have is that when I do this, and I think I might have won this year, Guy.
Really?
Yeah, I think so, because mine was Gen AI, and I had a couple names in there. AMD and Intel were in there. So it was basically
Global Foundries.
So it was Global Foundries,
Electronic Arts,
which got taken out.
NTAP,
NXPI.
Oh, NXPI.
And then I had
A is AMAT.
It was AMAT, and then I was Intel. So what I was doing there is I was playing like names in Gen AI that, well, haven't been appreciated, I guess is my point, right? And so this year I'm doing a similar one.
Okay.
See, I want to win. I think the game's
dumb. If you play it, you want to win it.
All right. I mean, so I need something with an E that's washed out. Sentiment is horrible. So put it in the chat here, people. Okay. Wait, God, let's continue on the commodities though for a second, because let's go to silver.
Yeah,
because
go to silver, print an 80 again. You know, this and that move that we saw, and that engulfing pattern that we saw, and we talked about. If you want to go shorter term, we had a whole conversation about it, and we said historically, when you see a move like that, we make a new all-time high, close on the lows. The high obviously is higher than the prior day's high. The low obviously lower than the prior day's low. That's not a good thing. It didn't even come off. And that was it. The fact that we're back on the horse here, this is a very powerful move. And you take out that high from whatever 5 or 6 trading days ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still convinced that this is a triple-digit commodity in the very near future. And I don't think, and you said something interesting. You always say something interesting, but you said when silver moves like this, it means something is probably breaking somewhere. And that's true.
Yeah. I mean, there doesn't seem to be a lot of evidence that anything's breaking. If you just look at the major, macro asset classes that we look at, I mean, we talked about the 10-year yield. It's kind of stuck here. Obviously, gold and silver, like you just said, or something. You have a VIX that's, under 15 still. You have a NASDAQ that's near all-time high. I mean, I look around, I see high yield index is just fine. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of weird. Now, here's one, and that did have this correlation, a risk on sort of thing, the NASDAQ, but that obviously broke down over the last kind of 3 or 4 months. And it's Bitcoin. And one of the things that's interesting about Bitcoin, it's down today a bit, but it had that breakout above that downtrend. If you want to just kind of make a 1 year really quickly, and so yes, maybe it's New Year stuff. Who knows? But some of the price action yesterday, I want to go through some of these names really quickly, Guy, that were IPOs last year. Circle, CRCL. I want to just rip through them a little bit so you can see what happened yesterday.
Bullish.
And
we had Tom Farley last
night.
So that's in that world.
So I wanted to get to bullish for a second. Because, but we'll go to BLSH is another one. I mean, a lot of these things got washed out a little bit. And so you see that price action yesterday, Figure, FIGR. This thing had a day yesterday. Look at that thing. And so there was a few others that had big days, Gemini, Galaxy, that sort of thing. Yeah, also had MicroStrategy. I don't really want to focus on the treasury companies because I think those are kind of goofy, but I think the picks and shovels could be really interesting. The IPOs came out, sentiment got really bad as it relates to crypto in general. I think the treasury companies sucked a lot of air out. But if you go back to bullish now, and again, full disclosure, Tom Farley, CEO of this company, good friend of ours. Okay. I just want to be really clear on that. And I look at this, we know he's a really good operator. He used to run the NYSE, okay? He was also a crypto skeptic a while back, but he also made an investment in Coinbase. This is going back 10, 11 years ago, which ended up being a huge investment for the NYSE, okay? I look at this, I think it has 21% short interest, Guy. And I say to myself, sentiment's really bad. I'm sure he's like heads down, running a good business. They have a vision for where they think crypto exchanges can be, and they think that the TAM is big enough where they can get, gain market share against some of the big ones, that sort of thing. Could some of these be a trade? You know what I mean? They have like bullish. Let's see what the short interest is. It's like 20%.
Well, you mentioned FIG. I mean, you get just some incremental positive news and you have moves of that magnitude. So yeah, I think for a trade, absolutely.
21% short interest.
So you see what happens in these high short interest names. By the way, in the chat, which we have a vibrant chat, people are saying Enphase would be a good one for you. This is like a battery producer out of California. And I think it's trading at like, it's not at a 52-week low, ENPH.
Yeah.
But it's at, it's had a pretty significant sell-off, especially if you look at it since 2023. So bunch of Enphase people for you, Dan. Nathan.
Whoa.
Okay, easy does it there, big guy. So that's your E.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I freaking love. Who did that? Who did that?
Bunch of people. Everyone in the chat is saying Enphase for letter E. Other people are saying EEM or Ethereum. Other people are saying Eaton. Eaton's not a good one.
What does Enphase do?
They make batteries, solar batteries.
Okay, here's a great example.
Okay.
Nearly 5% short interest ratio, but as a percentage of the float, it's 25%.
There's your E, bitches. By the way,
so I have a few charts that, in my thing that look like that.
That would be fun.
That's what I'm trying to do.
We probably can't do it now, but it would be fun to have like a risk reversal community, have people sort of send in their acronyms.
Hey, yeah.
That would be fun.
You know what we should do? Go to Bullish for a second, because I was reading about it. I went to their website, bullish.com, today. They're doing one of those trading challenges like CME Group does. And I love those. We should incorporate one with the CME Group because I think they're, I love those things. So Enphase actually
work for you.
Actually makes money, except that they're supposed to have a decline.
You're just looking for a stock that's washed out, that you could see a huge sort of short covering rally that lasts
exactly
to the end of the year.
Well, why don't you do that also?
No. That's yours. By the okay, so getting back to silver again. Why another reason I'm sort of convinced that it's real. Look at Pan American Silver, PAAS. Throw that up at $55. We're either at or within 20 cents of an all-time high. So I bring these up because the equities are saying the commodity move is real and sustainable, and I think you just got to stay with it. And if you want to play the copper game, go to copper as well. It's going to look a little bit different in terms like a Freeport McMoran, but today Freeport McMoran, new 52-week high. I don't think it's an all-time high. I think the all-time high in Freeport Mac was 2008 or something ish, if a man can go way back, but we're damn freaking close. So you see what's going on in all these mining stocks. And we've talked about this now seemingly every day for the last 6, 7, or 8 months.
You know, it's funny. You know, we had obviously Carter on yesterday, and Carter, you know, could tune out all of the stuff that we are saying. Last night was really funny on Fast Money because we went around the horn
And
on
he's
something.
like, yeah, that sounds okay.
No, he's like, yeah, not good. He doesn't care about this stuff. He has his own process, right? Like this or whatever. But the flip side of that, go back to the, you know, the 10-year or whatever you had. You know, sometimes we look at what he does and we have like, you know what I mean? Like if you're buying some of these stocks and look at that move off the 2020 lows, you'd have to say, we just looked at a micron like that. You know what I mean? Now, once you do that, I think that's a really good example is that from 2020, you know what I mean, to just, you know, a couple months ago, this was not a good performer for 5 years.
No, it was not.
You know what I mean? So, you know, so I'm not buying this breakout to get back to the 2010
Fair.
or whatever.
Hey, listen, I totally get that.
All right, here's one other. I don't mean to be like dominate about my acronym.
Show.
Okay, so because I have that E now, okay,
at the end?
at the end. So the third to last letter in my old acronym was an S, but I want to replace the S with a C. Okay, I want to replace, and it's got to be like an end phase sort of thing. So I want to replace the S
C company
with a C.
Watch that S card go. So you need a C company.
Look at that S card go. Also trading places.
Okay. Now you're going to hate this. You're not going to do it.
What?
Citigroup is your C.
I'm not going to do it because it's the
said
opposite.
I just said you're not
Citigroup was flipped.
Okay.
If you flip that chart. That's what I'm looking for.
Bill, watch this.
Oh,
watch this. Core Weave.
Can't be Core Weave.
So did you see like the mood change
there? I think CoreWeave is going back to its IPO price of $40.
I'm just throwing that out.
I think the chat will have some better ideas on that.
Okay.
All right. I'm just gonna should I just reveal my acronym right here?
Why not?
Okay, because someone just said Kava, Capital One.
No, Kava's grim death.
Okay. Pull up Kava.
You know what
Kava? You know what Kava's replacing?
Chipotle.
Sweet Green.
And where?
In my acronym.
Oh, you had Sweet Green?
I had Sweet Green. And then pull up SG. And
okay,
I'll tell
now,
you why.
Now I'm completely confused. You mean in this year's?
This year.
Okay,
coming out.
Let's start again. What is your, can you reveal your acronym?
Yes.
You don't want to?
No, I'm happy to.
Go ahead.
It was Stash. It is Stash.
STASH. Where's the E come in?
Because I'll tell you what I'm doing. Mustache
has an E at the end.
But
stash, like I'm stashing away that bag of gold.
No, but understand what I'm doing. Okay.
Bill has a stash.
It was, you ready for this? It was
Miles, who I just saw,
definitely
has a stash of weed.
Well, that was the play on words, but you see why I'm changing it now? Okay. So it was Snap. Pull up. Let's do this as we real time. By the way, I'm long some. I think.
So this is the Snap is the S in your stash.
Correct. Okay.
T.
Then TTD, Tech Data. Look at this one.
Tech Data.
Look at this one. So these are companies that have been disrupted by generative AI. Okay. So TTD.
Okay.
So Tech Data. This thing was a monster. Look at that. This is like a layup. This one.
Well, you talking about Trade Desk or
Trade Desk?
Trade Desk.
Yeah. Okay. Look at this. You see this thing?
By the way, the CEO of Trade Desk is a huge
Jeff Green.
Huge fast.
We met him on the day that they went public. He was came up to the desk.
It's like he met Mickey effing Mantle.
Yeah.
Continue.
All right. So then Adobe, ADBE,
sure,
pretty washed out in my opinion.
Just
also disrupted by AI. Okay. Look at that.
Another
thing.
S.
Okay. My S was Sweet Green, SG. Now this had nothing to do with disruption of AI. This had to do corporate slop bowls, but look at this thing. Okay. I mean, if this thing just goes to 15, I'm up 100%.
I understand the math. Thank you.
Okay. So then
H
was HubSpot, HUBS, which is also, a CRM company that's been disrupted. I feel like that sentiment is so bad with these SaaS names. They're so bad that I think there could be a moment for them. But here's another example. This stock could double. Where's it trade?
390, 385.
Right. So I think I'm going to put Home Depot in as this HD. So put in HD.
You're gonna and now and what's going to happen? HubSpot's going to go up 30%. You be like,
Well, what would you rather do?
No, I think
What would you rather do? HubSpot
I
or
think
Exchange?
HubSpot, in terms of percentage, we have more of a chance to have a big percentage.
So I'll keep
move in
HubSpot. So now,
Home Depot. And I think
now
Home
I have
Depot's up 40%.
M-Phase, but that's why I'm swapping out Sweet Green for Kava. All right, so it's going to be
That's sweet.
Snap, Tech Data, Adobe, Kava, HubSpot, and M-Phase. That is Stash.
Well, how is there a C in Stash?
Because Mustache is C.
Oh, it's not.
So I'm
you're not doing
changing up.
double
That's
S.
why I'm swapping out the
I
S
see.
for the C. What would you think?
No,
is
that's
better?
nice. I like that. That's a lot of stocks in your acronym.
6.
Just saying.
They don't have a limit.
No, they don't have a limit, but
I could do Mississippi
It's
if I wanted.
it's numerator, denominator.
SSI, PPI.
Numerator, denominator. So
Okay.
if they collectively go up 120% divided by 6.
Should I just leave it as Stash?
No. I think it's fine what you're doing. I don't have mine yet. By the way,
Man is doing great.
Jacob said Guy can use his meat here. I don't even know what that means, Jacob. I mean, that's very dirty. I mean, it's incredible. Oh, this is from Chris 3062, which I don't know if that's your phone number. Throw this up. Is the only thing that can save Netflix a live Led Zeppelin concert. Now, of course, the problem with that is John Bonham, the drummer, I believe he died in 1981, if memory serves. It might have been 1980, which is now 46 years ago. So unless John Bonham is somehow rises from the dead, I don't believe that that's
What about his
happen.
son?
Yeah, Jason Bonham, great drummer. But Robert Plant's at a point in his career where he cannot no longer perform at that level. Jimmy Page is a legend, and John Paul Jones might be the greatest musician in the band that nobody's ever heard of. But I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, I actually just recently, and you're not going to love this because you're not a big fan. I watched from Live 8, I think it was 2008, Roger Waters and David Gilmour got back together. I think it was the last time they really played together.
Those are the Pink Floyd members.
Page and Plant have played maybe at Live 8 also.
96 Page Plant.
No, but they
toured,
played something
97.
in the aughts too. When we're on the drummer bit, so Taylor Hawkins, who died, he was
tragically.
Yeah, he is an amazing
drummer.
showman, drummer.
The guy that looks like Will Ferrell's a good drummer.
Yeah.
He does look just like Will Ferrell.
Yeah, it's from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
It's something.
So Taylor Hawkins' son played at his memorial, played drums. He's like now he's probably 20 or something like that. Great drummer.
Hawkins, Indiana is the fictional town of Stranger Things.
Yeah. All right, let's just rip through a few
I have a
things.
Hawkins pool lifeguard shirt that I wear.
Do you? You know who wore that shirt? The kid who was the redhead's older sister. No, the redhead's older brother, who was a total dick.
I remember that guy.
Then
he got
Well, spoiler alert. All right, let's just rip through some things, guy.
Quick.
So Nvidia, unched on the day. They had the big keynote. Amazon has been actually trading okay. I think some of the AWS stuff is coming out a little bit that people are excited about. SMH is up 2.5%. It's up 7.5% on the year. We see all the stuff going on in storage and memory. They're going crazy. Software continues to suck, but we already just talked about that. Retail guy today catching a bid. I'm just looking at your Dollar Gen is up 9% on the year right now. It's up 4.5%.
I think we've done a decent job with the dollar store names, bearish to bullish reversal. We talked about that last summer, I believe, if you recall.
Yes.
Just let me throw this out, and I'm going to continue. Amanda, throw up a TLT chart.
Yeah.
I am telling you, sports fans, there's no bounce here. And there's your trend line, people. Bitches. Am I allowed to say that?
Sure.
So draw it again if you want. Redraw it. Do whatever the hell you want. But that uptrend is seemingly being violated.
So it's funny. I filled in that gap. I like looking at this through the lens of the 10-year U.S. Treasury.
Right, man, oh man, that sucker.
I know. So that's the 20-year ETF, and you say, all right, it's not that different. Like basically direction-wise, it does the same thing. I just feel like this is a better case for you.
You need because you close above the 200-day moving average.
I just see. Forget the move that we had in April. I see 420. That was something again that Bill is also into 420. I see that as support last year.
Just let me say one thing. I don't believe that Bill smokes the Magic Dragon.
Look at
or
him.
Puffs the Magic Dragon.
I don't believe
his
parents are watching. So
not that anything wrong with it, by the way. It's legal.
I just feel like
Bill's a cerebral human being. What are you laughing at?
I just feel like that 420 level, which has now been resistance, this is your best argument, in my opinion, for you get a close above that 200. You look at that 460 level, the prior high. Let's get a 5-year for a
The
second.
market will not like that.
Well,
is the
you
reason I keep bringing
saying,
it up.
and somebody said this. You've been saying
Last
this.
night.
I wonder if he
Joe
watches the
Amato
show.
said it last
Joe
night.
basically said that market participants, or the market in general, like to test new Fed chairs. We're going to have a new Fed chair. And so the way I listen, not in the stock market, in the bond market.
The bond market.
Yeah,
I've said that numerous times.
Yeah.
Joe probably does not watch the show, although last night he said that he did.
Yeah.
But your point is well taken. People that have been around long enough, I think, are aware that the markets like to test new Fed chairs. And you go back historically and watch. And what does that mean? It means they're going to do something disruptive in the bond market, which is not necessarily going to move the equity market. However, I think that if the bond market were to sell off in a meaningful way into this new Fed chair, the equity market will not like that at all.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
No, I mean, I think this year is going to be such an interesting year. Obviously, what's going on geopolitically, and might there be reverberations, right? And so the top article, I think it was in the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times, was talking about, we talked about this yesterday, and a lot of folks have been talking about it, so it's nothing that unique, is that does this behavior of regime change and going into a sovereign nation and doing this, does it embolden Russia? Does it embolden China? And when we think about Russia and China, supply chains are really important from an energy standpoint, right, as it relates to Russia and Ukraine. But then also China, like a lot of folks said, if you think what's happened in the energy market has been disruptive because geopolitics, just wait until you see disruption to chip manufacturing as it relates to Taiwan and the like. And that'll make this look like, a walk in the park.
I mean, go back. We brought it up. Jensen Wang, a year and a half, 2 years ago, when he was, I don't know if he was asked a question, but he brought it up about Taiwan. I mean, his existential risk is something happening there. And I brought this up on Fast Money last night, and it was interesting to see some of the comments on Twitter. I mean, some hateful stuff. Wait,
say that again? I'm sorry.
So what I said last night was, in terms of what the United States just did with Venezuela, understanding that the man had an existing warrant for his arrest, but what happened there was absolutely a military action. I don't think you can say anything but. I mean, there were 150 warplanes, every service, every
FBI
service.
Was involved.
I mean, the CIA's been in there since August. CIA. I mean, it's a lot going on. So what I said was, if other countries sit back and watch this, that will embolden other countries. I mean, I'm convinced that the Chinese look at this and say, you know what, we've been given a bit of a pass to do something in Taiwan, because who are we then to say that they can't do it? Because they could use the same argument that we're making now. This is whatever leader was put in unjustly, blah, blah, blah. So stay tuned, sports fans, because I think that's
you're
coming.
saying that you tweeted that out and you got a lot of hate?
I said it on the show last night.
You got a lot of hate?
Which I get. It's not a political comment. So that's my view.
Here are just two headlines, in the New York Times, how the Don Rowe, I guess he's the Monroe Doctrine, he's putting Don in the front of that, reinforces Xi's vision of power in Asia. And then there's another one in China, a debate about political power ignites after Maduro's capture. I mean, I think most importantly right now, there's two things as it relates to Europe. Okay, is that the Europeans have obviously been steadfast of holding pat and helping Ukraine defend themselves. Their concern is that while Ukraine's not a NATO country, they have they have a lot of interest in defending Ukraine because they believe that Russia will be on the doorstep of Poland, which is a NATO country, and they don't want to have to defend other NATO countries, 100%. Right? Okay, so that's that. Now, the Europeans are also getting aggravated about the fact that, I guess, Stephen Miller yesterday, and obviously Trump has alluded to this, that they think they have, they have rights to take over Greenland, which wouldn't be hard. But the Europeans in NATO are saying, listen, that goes against article, whatever, and then they're going to have to defend it. Now, there's not going to be a war over Greenland. But what it does, it splinters NATO. And we know that Trump, going back to his first administration, is not a fan of NATO. But he was successful in getting the Europeans to raise their defense spending. 100%. And so great, you know what I mean? But now if you're just going to rupture NATO, I'll bet you what the Europeans are going to do is they're going to bring Ukraine into NATO
They'll
if we're
form
not
another
there. They're
some
going
sort of
to
alliance.
have to do it.
It all gets very
So,
tricky.
Yeah. So that's it. I mean, whatever. I mean,
Have at it, people.
well, it's just listen, it's a place where I don't think we want to be in 2026, because part of the Trump doctrine, or whatever you want to call it, was that we are not going to get into these foreign entanglements and that sort of thing.
Regime building.
And things have changed. I mean, like when you're using things like the Monroe Doctrine, meaning the Monroe Doctrine, when we were back in a place, this is going back 100 and something years, right? Where we were.
It's just funny to say it, Monroe.
We had a pretty imperialistic bent to us.
It's a much different world.
And by the way, imperial sort of behavior doesn't end well in the 21st century. Look at what's happened to Russia. You know what I mean? Is a good example. So again, listen, I was a poli-sci major. Were you? What was your major?
Marketing.
You know what's interesting? You've said this a long time, and I do believe it. You say that politics bore you. So a guy named Sam Harris, who I'm a big fan of, he has a podcast called Making Sense.
Did he play linebacker for the Saints?
No, was not a football player. But he had a in one of his like long Substacks that I was reading the other day.
We have a Substack.
He actually said politics used to bore me. But now, you know what I mean? Like it's like that's the one thing about this last decade, is that you could have not really paid attention
maybe I should
to politics.
change it different. So maybe I should say this: politicians bore me.
Well, politicians do something else to you. I'm not sure they bore you. They elicit response.
They do.
Okay, most of it's negative response, because I think this is something that a lot of folks here in this country, they both sides it. They think that they're all crooks. They're all this,
cult
they're all
of personality that politics would be. That to me is problematic.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think there are people out there, politicians, that are genuine in their whatever. But I also think there are a lot of them out there on both sides of the aisle that play to a much different band. Yeah. And it becomes a popularity contest. And that to me is not what it should be about.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think that maybe for this year in 20, we can rework that. When I hear somebody that I know and respect their opinions say that, it doesn't have to be word for word. You don't have to parse each word and say, I think it's the messaging and I understand your point. But there used to be a time where you could be an American citizen and you could feel great about your country. You could feel great about, the job and the thing that you're doing, no matter what it was, right? Whether you're a banker, whether you're a mailman, whether you're a teacher, whether you're, construct, whatever the thing it is. And now everything has been politicized. I think that's the point.
That is.
And it's in your face. Like I look at the newspaper, whatever newspaper you read, okay? The first 10 articles are Trump. 3 years ago, it wasn't Biden.
Just quickly before we get, think about fast money.
Yeah.
We started in 2007. What was that? Was that a Bush administration? I mean,
it was.
Then
Obama took over in early Obama. He won in 08.
Okay, so I don't think we mentioned a president maybe a handful of times each year. And then obviously it changed in 2016. And because politics in our world collided in a major way. And we were forced to talk about it. There was a bit of a reprieve during the Biden administration because they didn't seemingly insert themselves.
Well, by the way, he was pretty boring.
100%.
I mean,
and now and again, we're forced to talk about it. Not because I want to, it's because we have to.
Well, I mean, listen, like last night was a good example. One of the things our show, Fast Money, opened, for the first 7 months of the year, it felt like, since inauguration, or actually since the transition, right? So going back 11 months, and we love Eamon Javers. He's
CNBC, badass. I mean,
but when we have to start a show about the stock market with Eamon from the White House, it kind of dominates some things. You know what I mean? I think we've done a good job of keeping our own politics out of it. I certainly have. There was a time where I was not able to do that, and now I think I am.
Grow. By the way, Halima Croft, and I'm going to leave. Sorry, man, it's great, by the way.
Yeah.
Halima Croft was on the show last night.
She's the best.
Who I think the world of.
Yeah.
She worked in the CIA. She might still be in the freaking CIA for all I know.
Let's not dox her.
No, it's out there that she worked for the CIA.
Well, you're just saying your opinion now is it might be something.
I mean, that could be some really like covert shit going on.
All right.
That's it. Tomorrow we have Elizabeth Thomas.
Correct.
You're sitting down with Deirdre Drabosa, I believe.
So Deirdre and I are gonna we brought OK Computer people back. There was a lot of interest in it, by the way, and a lot of the guests had been on it. We had kind of merged it in 2025 into Risk Reversal Podcast. So our slate is going to be Monday, Friday, Risk Reversal Podcast, and Wednesday is going to be OK Computer. Obviously, we do Market Call Monday through Thursday, but one of the things that's really interesting, we can just kind of tease it a little bit. Friday, you and I are doing a segment that might turn into something bigger, but it's going to be a limited series. We're with Kristen and Jen from the Wall Street Skinny. These women are brilliant. They've been on
really
our podcast,
and they're funny as shit.
They're fun, they're funny, they're smart as heck. And it's going to be called He Said, She Said.
Clever.
We're going to come in with one topic, and it's going to be you and I looking at things through the lens of market participants,
or not the lens of a dude, through market participants.
Yeah,
but I understand.
Pro market participants, and they're going to come at it as they are really smart. Breaking it down. They're both former bankers. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So that's gonna drop on Mondays over the next couple of months. We're really excited about that.
A limited series.
So we're excited about that.
Amanda's great.
That's great.
We're no longer in the Happy New Year phase.
We're beyond.
The Rangers cannot win a game at home. Bill has his New Jersey Devils hat on. By the way, I owe Dan Nathan an apology before we get out of here. You used a term many months ago that I'd never heard before. Do you know what the term is or was?
No.
You said it's sort of like an own goal.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, what?
Last night was their own goal.
No, but Jack Hughes. Was it Jack or Luke? Was it Luke? Was it Luke or Jack? I mean, he literally put the puck in his own net. He got booed the rest of the night. And somebody said, own goal. And I'm like, you know what? I owe Dan an apology. I'd never heard that before.
Really? Oh, it's something that you'll hear because
it's a soccer.
Can I tell you why? So like you have these corner kicks, they call them set pieces, guy, right? And all the players, they line up and they're kind of jockeying for position. And oftentimes if the ball's coming over and there's like 15 guys in a mashup in a certain situation, they're all trying to get their head on it. So the offense is trying to get their head on it, get in the, and then the defense is trying to get up to block it. And sometimes you'll see a ball go.
A lot of times you'll see a scissor kick or a bicycle kick.
Not a lot of times.
Like Pele.
So next week,
if you remember, Pele did that in Victory.
So you want amazing movie with Sly Stallone, Michael Caine. Michael Caine's still up there. Like he's on my Mount Rushmore of.
Yes, but a lot of his stuff doesn't age as well as you'd think. He was more of a hokey-ish actor than you realize.
Yeah, there's also
he's like a poor man's Donald Sutherland.
No. Donald Sutherland is a poor man's Michael Caine.
I don't know about
Michael Caine. Just bring up IMDb for a second. He's in The Man Who Would Be King with Sean Connery. Great movie. He was in
I believe he was in what was the movie? Was it Guns of Navarone? He wasn't in Guns of Navarone.
No.
I tell you what he was in.
Blame It on Rio.
He was in The Ultra Secret, movie. I believe. Look that up.
Here, you want to see? I have IMDb up.
The Great Escape.
He was in okay, look at these guys. He was in the second Austin Powers movie, which he was freaking
Inception,
hilarious.
These
he was in the Batman movies.
Show more. Tenet. I mean, The Italian Job. That's right. Marky Mark. Eagle Has Landed. That's what I was talking about.
So by the way, Christopher Nolan, who did all the Batman movies, did Inception. He loved Michael Caine.
Witch Hunter.
The Prestige.
Prestige, good movie.
All these guys, they have to do a bunch of crap movies. Like they got to pay the bills. They don't know what's going to be great. He was in Interstellar. He was great. That's another obviously
Harry Brown. No. Bridge Too Far. Okay.
Children of Men was an underrated
Victory.
movie.
Look at that. Victory. That's great. Sly Stallone.
Yeah.
Jaws: The Revenge. I mean, that's as shitty a movie as ever been made.
The Muppet Christmas Carol. This is going back to 1992.
All right. Amanda wants us out of here.
Okay. That was fun. Hopefully you guys didn't lose interest as we got towards the IMDb.
Muppet Christmas Carol. Best Scrooge ever. That's from Jake.
So one of my favorite movies, comedies of the 80s was, maybe it was early 90s, was Scrooged with Bill Murray.
100%.
And there's a great scene.
His nickname was Lumpy.
And he's talking to the woman from Raiders of the Lost Ark. right?
Yeah,
Remember her?
yes, that was his love interest.
What's her name? Somebody put it in the chat. So there's a scene, and he's supposed to be like this network head, a TV network
Like
head.
Max
and,
Meyer.
yeah, he's like all over the place. He's like a real serious guy. And this and whatever. He's talking to his old girlfriend, and he kind of has a soft spot for her and all that sort of stuff. And some guy who's like a prop guy comes up to him. He's holding a little mouse, and they're doing a holiday show. They're doing a Christmas show. And the guy is like, sir, we can't get these antlers to stay on the mouse. And he goes, have you tried Staples?
And she looked at him.
Which is the most amazing. Isn't that one of the best lines?
It's a great
Have
line.
you tried Staples?
It's a great movie.
It is a great movie. There's another great line. You remember the real slick network guy who's like, his character, Bill Murray's character doesn't like, and he's a very pretentious guy. And he goes, as my lacrosse coach used to say, there's no I in the word team. Do you remember that? It's a great line. This is a very quotable movie.
As my lacrosse coach.
Yeah. Okay.
By the way,
on that,
you know who was late to the New York Stock Exchange today? There were a group of athletes. What sport were they late? The lax players.
Really?
Not surprising.
Early's on time, as your football coach used to say.
All right, that's it.
All right, people. Thanks so much. We'll be back at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.